Back at the start of December, I asked you, the community, to submit your dragon designs for the January 2026 Community Redraw. And, well, here it is. So let's get into it, shall we? Let's bring these illustrations to life. Dragon Riders, that's what we call them. Those who are born with the ability to bond with dragons. In each nation, there can only be one with this ability. Dragon Riders share one thing in common aside from the dragons they bond with. They're all female. Every year, there's a tournament of 5 nations. 8 champions from all around Blue Star compete in a global event known as the Tournament of Dragons. For the winner, the resources and rewards can help secure the nation's future for decades. Amongst the contestants this year is the representative of the Dark Poison Nation, Tal Zhi, of the Zhi family. A rather stunning and deadly dragon rider who deals with poison. Her bond is with the Abyssal Toxaragon, an aquatic wyvern that spends most of its time in the ocean during midnight and twilight, hunting by using its bioluminescence and highly toxic venom. Being bonded with the Abyssal Toxaragon, Val gains several abilities, as is the case with any dragon rider. Apart from an increase in speed, strength and durability, Val gained the ability to breathe underwater for an extended period of time, almost as long as a dragon could. A highly toxic venom she can secrete from her fingertips and saliva. Personality-wise, she appeared cold and emotionless, but she revelled in the torment of those she found beneath her. That was her view of most people beneath her. Showed any respect to those she encountered, including other dragon riders who were on par with her status, wealth and strength. Known for this ruthless nature, Val soon became known as a dragon rider as venomous and dangerous as any toxic creature in the world. Looking down on those she deemed as lesser as she ruled with a cruel venomous fist from behind the scenes of her nation, taking the resources and things she deemed hers, leaving nothing but ruin in her wake. She is a top favourite to cause mayhem in the tournament. Now, for the design of Tal Zhi, as well as the other dragon riders in this redraw, I wanted to give the vibe that I got from each dragon design that was submitted. So each of the submissions I looked at and they kind of gave me a feel. And I have to say, I love this design. There was something about the dark colour scheme combined with the horns, contrasting eye, and the feel of this dragon that just screamed royal, cold, almost villain-like with a strong and powerful demeanour. I wanted to have the outfit, her rider costume that she was wearing match the colour palette of the Abyssal Toxaragon, while having the same stern yet soulless piercing glaze. And I must say, I do love how this one came out. It's got a rather cool retro anime feel to it, and I hope you enjoy it as well. The next dragon rider is one who bonded with a dragon under a clear starry night. The Starlight dragon, named so because of its star pattern on its wings. Mai noticed something different in the sky. That was when the Starlight dragon revealed itself to her, starting the relationship of rider and dragon. Over time, Mai became the guardian of the Starlight region, her home and the place she treasured the most. Her dragon, the Starlight dragon, granted Mai some unique abilities. Flight for a short period of time and camouflage were her top skills. She could hide in plain sight as well as make a fast exit. This gave her an unrivaled advantage in battles. The Starlight dragon could breathe a flame as hot and blinding as it was pure white in colour. Mai made a name for herself as a master strategist. Although she is one of the youngest dragon riders entering the tournament, many have underestimated Mai due to her kind and sometimes shy demeanour. However, she uses that to her advantage to take control of the flow of battle and lead her opponents into her traps, ensuring a flawless victory record in her fights so far. She is the favourite to win if her luck holds out. At least, that's what the rumours are in the betting rings of the nations taking part. Several of the other dragon riders see Mai as snobbish or cold to approach at times. However, they mainly dislike the sense of noble presence that Mai emanates from her various movements, words and posture. This always creates a sense of tension and conflict when they interact, especially with some of the more ruthless and crueler dragon riders. As soon as I saw the design of this dragon, I instantly had the thought that I kind of wanted an oriental style dragon rider. It had more of a Chinese vibe to the style of the dragon, and I had the idea to give the outfit and hairstyle somewhat similar to this. Buns in the hair like Chun-Li, one of my favourite Street Fighter characters, although I am out of practice using her on Monarch and with the matches with Koi, But that's another story. Back to the design notes though. I had a kind of elegant and royal pose in mind for this one. Hopefully I've captured those aspects in this illustration. I did go with a patterned background to emphasize the feeling I had of an oriental style dragon a bit more. And I must say, I like how this one turned out. From the depths of the dark forest of the Plague Mist Kingdom is a poisonous dragon that is a fearsome creature from the region's ancient legends. One that haunts these forests when not with its rider. Renowned for its emerald skin and pinkish purple toxic breath, this dragon is one of the more noticeable dragons as it fights. Despite being in the dark forest of the Plague Mist Kingdom, a forest filled with various poisonous plants and creatures, the people of this kingdom live in a rather modern forest city. One with some advanced cyberpunk-like technology, all crafted around the poison nature of the region. Viper, one of the more gifted prodigies of the kingdom, became the dragon rider for the Plague Mist Dragon, with a passion for poisons that bordered on obsession. Viper ventured into the dark forest in search of new poisonous plants to use in her experiments, when she was suddenly surrounded by the toxic breath of the Plague Mist Dragon. She collapsed from the highly toxic cloud and fell into an almost coma-like state for several hours. Eventually, she regained consciousness to find the dragon had stayed with her. As she looked into a pool of water, she noticed the colour of her hair had turned green and purple, and the whites of her eyes had become pitch black. These weren't the only changes Viper noticed. As she started to speak, her breath started to turn the same pinkish purple toxic cloud as the dragon's. It was at this point Viper realised she had bonded with the dragon. She had become immune to all poison she encountered, while being able to secrete poison from her fingernails. After bonding with the Plague Mist Dragon, Viper also gained a boost to her poison knowledge, increasing the potency of any poison that she works with. Viper also gained a healing ability, allowing her to regenerate from injuries that would be fatal to others. This one was another poisonous type dragon, but the minute I saw the design, I had the urge to go more cyberpunk with the dragon rider. One that wears that kind of mask. I kind of like the idea of the cyberpunk mask, and a rather sleek but deadly design to the outfit. I did decide the dragon rider in this one would look cool with a kind of mohawk style hair and have the same poisonous breath coming out from her mask. I also wanted the dragon to have a stern look and intimidating expression. This was amplified by the fact that only part of the dragon's face was showing and it's looking straight at you. I think that one really nice eye and the lighting effect on it just make it stand out. It feels like it's just staring into your soul. I also like how the composition of this one turned out. I like the fact that when you look into this image and you look at the dragon rider, you notice the eye of the dragon next to it and you're just drawn to it to give the impression that it's looking over her shoulder and it's intimidating whoever she's interacting with. Not all of the dragon riders come from kingdoms that are on the ground. There's one kingdom that floats above the others in the sky. The residents of this kingdom are rather carefree and like to live on the edge. Often, gliding and playing on the wings of the clouds, the citizens of the floating kingdom spend most of their free time enjoying the clear skies. Of course, living in the skies did not come without its own dangers, especially when the skies turned black and electricity filled the air. It was a legend passed down in stories that when the sky is filled with lightning and dark clouds, the guardian dragon of the floating kingdom was nearby. Any glimpse of the guardian always described it as covered in lightning, like a full-body cloak, before it disappeared in an instant. No one knew what happened, just that it was there one moment and gone the next. In reality, the dragon used the power and energy of the lightning it had around its body to move at incredible high speeds, giving the appearance of vanishing into thin air. No one had come across the Guardian in decades. The people of the floating kingdom had started to believe the Guardian was nothing more than a myth. That was all except for a young girl by the name of Fia. She always believed in the stories of the Guardian, and one day a massive storm filled the skies. Fia snuck out and headed into the storm, where she barely dodged the strong winds and lethal lightning strikes until one hit her glider, causing her to freefall. As she fell, she blacked out. Fia awoke to find herself amongst the clouds in the clear skies, unsure about what happened until she realised she was on the back of some flying creature. It was the Guardian Dragon. It saved her during the fall and carried her on its back. That was the start of their bond as Dragon Rider and Dragon. Fear developed the ability to control lightning and forward defensive shield or a cloak of lightning to increase her speed to insane levels. I didn't really have a vibe going into this dragon. I kind of had a pose in mind for the Dragon Rider, and once I started to draw the pose and fill in the character details, I just had a feeling of a carefree attitude, like there's no restraint, almost like floating weightlessness in the pose. That screamed at me, and that's what I went with. If I'm completely honest, I wasn't sure if I could do the pose and carefree vibe justice with my current level of art. It's not something that I have much experience practicing, from the facial expression with the smile to the almost weightlessness in the actual pose of the character. However, I've really enjoyed working on this piece, and hopefully the vibe I got conveyed in the final artwork. In the southern region lies the Valley of Tal Zhi, an area with a tropical climate filled with forests and swamps. Some of the creatures are poisonous, others are highly attuned to this climate. Deep within one of the jungles are the Tal Zhi, those who make a living as bandits doing any job for the right price, often hired by other nations in secret to avoid any public backlash from what they want done. The leader of the bandits is the Dragon Rider of Tal Zhi. She's very fierce and formidable, cunning and not afraid to fight dirty, using her dragon's abilities to the fullest, even if what she does is not morally just. Despite these methods, she does in her own way show her opponent her full respect when fighting them. She doesn't hold back. Although cautious, she, much like her dragon, the Toxizal dragon, although rarely she's caught off guard, she makes a point to never underestimate her opponent. Despite her more questionable tactics, she's not heartless and will retreat with her forces if the need arises. Her unique skills after bonding with her dragon are poison resistance, although not a full immunity, she can recover from the poisons of most creatures in this world. Although often thought of as one of the weaker dragon riders, her cunning strategies and tenacity to never underestimate her opponent have made her a troublesome foe to fight. Not much else is known about the Dragon Rider of Tal Zhi. Her name is a mystery, as well as anything else about her, despite the many rumours about her past or background. Nothing's been confirmed. This has put some of the other nations that work with her, as well as the other Dragon Riders, on edge. Now, this dragon submission was extremely detailed. I don't think I've had a more detailed dragon submission or submission sent in the past, bar maybe another one of Toxic Girl's submissions. But other than that, yes. I wasn't really sure what I was going to go with for this dragon. I spent a bit of time studying the design and reading the lore that was submitted with this one. Then I had an idea and I wanted to give a bit of a bandit vibe to one of the Dragon Riders. I kind of like the idea of them coming from different nations, different backgrounds, having a mix of different, potentially personalities from it. So the Dragon Rider has some fur on her jacket. I might have been influenced a little bit by what I was watching at the time, but the bandit vibe just seemed to match really nicely. As you might have guessed by now, I wanted to bring elements from the dragon designs and the lore into each of the riders, whether it's their story or it's their costume design or it's something within the scene that they're using. The idea was to focus more on the whole presence of each artwork and the essence, and hopefully at this point in the video, that's showing through. Not all of the Dragon Riders come from nations with ties to those that have abundant resources or modern cities. There are some nations that are full of ruins and are devoid of life in most areas other than a few remote villages. The skies in this region were like blood red. The people were poor, but they had the basics to survive in this harsh environment. Not many could traverse the desolate regions alone, but a rare few could. One of those who learned from a young age how to navigate this hostile land was Rue. She was scavenging for anything that could be useful when she found a large abandoned building with rubble all around it. She ventured into the building. Curiosity had gotten the best of her. As she started to look around, a large creature watched her from the shadows. Rue was unaware that she was being watched by the ancient creature. Despite its size, the creature moved silently. It wasn't until a small blue vapour-like cloud floated past her shoulder. She turned around and screamed as she saw the dragon, who had made its lair out of the abandoned building. As Rue stood there, frozen in fear, the dragon opened its mouth, with a kind yet menacing smile on its face. As a blue glow emitted from its mouth, its eyes glowed a golden hue. The dragon let out a fine blue fog from its breath. Rue's eyes turned a bright blue as she bonded with the dragon in front of her. She gained a massive increase in strength, allowing her to lift heavy objects with ease, as well as withstand massive impacts. Rue is one of the newest and unknown dragon riders in the tournament. Seen as an underdog from a remote land, she decided to enter the tournament in order to gather resources to help her people restore the once beautiful nation she calls home. This was an interesting dragon design. The submission had a wide range of colours, and I did quite like the lore of it. There were a lot of poison-based dragons submitted into this community redraw. However, this one didn't have the conventional dark colour scheme or purplish green colours you'd associate with something that's poison. Not to mention, I did like the comment that it could shoot fiery acorns of blue fire from its mouth. So that gave me the idea to give the Dragon Rider a giant metal acorn, which they're leaning on in this piece, and I think it helps give a little bit of weight to the pose. The main focus of this artwork that I wanted to push more was the lighting. I thought that a nice contrast between the dragon and the Dragon Rider would work really well for this, which is why I've kind of gone from an abandoned building scene with light coming through and opening at the top, the Dragon Rider fully in the light, but the dragon itself is in the shadows, which gives a nice emphasis of safe yet dangerous at the same time. The nation of Steam has some of the most unique technological marvels on Blue Star. The nation is one with limitless geothermal energy below the land. Over time, the people of the land developed a rather unique way of living. Everything was powered by steam. It was like looking into the past for most modern nations. However, despite the technology being built around the power of steam, its strength was no less than that of the modern marvels of Blue Star. The dragon of this nation, known as the Radio Dragon, it evolved alongside the development of the nation. This caused the dragon to become more like the technology, with final-like frills on its head and tail, a sonic roar, and the ability to mimic any sound. The dragon would shy away from prying eyes when it didn't have a bond with a rider, only choosing a new rider once someone has created a device to communicate with the dragon, a device that would not cause feedback when the dragon is near. This is where Emily took her first steps into becoming a dragon rider. She was curious about the stories of the dragon. As a young inventor, Emily took skills that she had and created a device that took the sound waves from anything around it and converted them into audible words. After a few simple tests, Emily decided to look for the Radio Dragon, to learn more about it. Eventually she found the dragon, and after several attempts she managed to get a basic form of communication between the two. Eventually, she bonded with the dragon and was able to communicate without the device, as was the case with all dragon riders. Since bonding with the Radio Dragon, Emily has become more and more creative in her inventions, as she learned to defend herself while travelling about with her dragon, exploring the new wonders and expanding her knowledge, which is one of the reasons why she's taken part in the Tournament of Dragons. As soon as I saw this design, I had one word scream into mind, and that was steampunk. And I know it's been a while since I've done anything steampunk related on the channel, probably about 2 years now, with the My Hero Academia steampunk versions. But I have to say, I had a lot of fun with this one. I have to confess as well, even though I've wanted to do steampunk for quite a while on the channel again, I didn't feel that I could do it any justice. I didn't think my skill set was at the level to create the essence of what I wanted to portray. But with this one, I think I nailed it. I think there's a perfect balance between a simplistic design of the dragon with the steampunk elements in the rider's costume, and doesn't take away from the actual focus of the Dragon Rider herself. The final contestant in the Tournament of Dragons is Prisma, one of the few dragon riders who was blind before bonding with her dragon. She was wandering around the city on a daily route. However, she was unaware that a change to a normal bus route had taken her far from the normal destination. This led her to a part of the city that was being renovated due to a prior earthquake opening a giant underformed cave. Unknowingly, she ventured into the cave and slipped, falling down a giant chasm until she landed on something that felt softer than the cave floor. Unable to see, she could only rely on her hearing and other senses, despite the fact that some strange soft object or possible creature had saved her. She was completely unaware that it was in fact the ancient dragon that was also blind and without a dragon rider. After a short while, she could feel the warmth of the sun on her body again. She was filled with hope after the fear of not knowing what was going on and falling for what she thought would be her last moment. It was at that moment something akin to a miracle happened. She was overcome with a feeling of warmth, peace and safety. A feeling of hope. She opened her eyes and could see for the first time. As she looked around, she noticed she was on the body of a giant creature. After it took her to the side of a mountain and safely put her down, it turned to look at her, and in that moment she knew she had bonded with this dragon. As she started to get used to her newfound sight, she noticed it came with a few unique abilities. She could see the movements of everything around her in such detail, she was able to predict the next move. This gave her an unparalleled aid in helping those she came across. Over time, her acts of saving people, as well as being seen with her dragon, built the trust in the city she lived. Not looking for fame or anything in return, she entered the Tournament of Dragons to explore her newfound sight and abilities while helping anyone she meets. This dragon submission wasn't your standard dragon submission, and it's one of the things I liked about it and the reason why I was hoping it got picked in the redraw. And this was because it was kind of a mix between a humanoid and a dragon character. I really liked that concept. I hope I've done it justice in my style. The main focus of these illustrations is more the dragon riders with the dragon accompanying in the background. So I'm hoping I've portrayed enough of the actual dragon design that's submitted to showcase it off. I was trying to work with a bit of perspective where the dragon's quite a giant large dragon, so it goes off into the distance in the background and you can see certain aspects of it smaller, and then the head would be quite large, it's closer to the dragon rider. I also loved the design of the eyes on this one, and I've got to say it gave me the idea to have the sight, kind of like the sight of the dragon or the dragon's eye, become part of the bonded abilities. It just worked really well for the character and the design. Seeing as she was from a urban area and more common than the nobles of the Blue Star, I thought it'd be quite nice to give her a bit of a street urban outfit, and I think the colour scheme works really, really well. Well, that was an epic community redraw with 8 artworks. Can you believe it? Quite a nice start to 2026. As always, I wish I could have done all the submissions. There were some amazing dragon designs. Also, Poison Dragons seem to be a favourite with you guys. Either way, a special thanks to the 8 winning submissions, and they are Scrimp, Matt Hybrid God, Matthew Diet, Stella Kitsune Illustrations, Toxagirl, Christopher Willard, Tegan Petrie, and Giantzilla. All of your submissions were incredibly fun to draw, and I hope you enjoyed the story and the dragon riders that I paired your submissions with. Now, for the moment a lot of you have been waiting for, details of the February 2026 community redraw, and they are: design a new general for Loki's army. Include 1 headshot and a body shot. The name, abilities, and a bit of background information and lore about the character. Deadline is the 20th of February 2026. You can submit via Discord or by emailing redraws@DempseyJ-illustrations.co.uk. Details are on screen and in the description. I look forward to seeing all your awesome submissions. And if you liked this community redraw, why not check out the other community redraws here?